You can pick it up from right here and just catch the motor. See? That's all you need. Come off that back end quick. So that works? That way works?
We're going to have to set it up, yeah, right here.
We're going to turn it around and get the conversation
right
anyway. Easy pickup, you got that. Yeah, don't.
It ain't even oil, it's grease.
You don't cross the line, you be on your butt. Good pickup. It need to turn just a little bit more.
A little less oil.
The oil is why I stay.
show out.
Let me get forward. Look at that. Look at that. I know what I'm talking about. I did say that. Who's that?
Michael Irvin.
Yeah, open in there.
Oh, Drew Pearson.
There it is.
We went the wrong way, but it got it. Between the frames.
You still go the same, man.
A little bit.
You're throwing a little bit faster than you used to, but you still.
You like that split?
You still throw it soft.
Guess you want to make sure you get enough chances to make it. Don't make it this time. You don't even have to throw it no more. That ball just didn't turn. Down the middle is where the most oil is too. Or grease, as Glenn says. Right, this is the Between the Frame podcast. Y'all want to intro? Y'all want to introduce yourself, or you want to hit with the questions?
G-Money.
Mr. Peace Sign, what's happening? So the podcast is about. Get right there, just so we can all close to be in the fray. This podcast is about men coming together, discussing issues, topics, and whatever in between the frames of bowling. And we are at the Forum Bowl in Grand Prairie, Texas. Just to give a shout out in case you want to come out here, give them some business since they gave us the business. Today's topic, anybody, y'all remember the topic? So the topic is, are we doing anything to actually make a better tomorrow? Are we making the right changes? Are we making the right progressive steps forward to make changes for tomorrow? And the preference is that, yeah, we may be doing some individual things, but are we doing collective stuff so that our children will have a better tomorrow? I'll let you guys first kind of speak on what you think of the topic, and we'll go from there.
Man, I think the topic is on point. I think most of what's happening right now is people just trying to survive. Man, these Trumponomics ain't no joke, bruh. Let me tell you, man. Especially when you're seeing the amount of jobs and whatnot that have been erased as a result of politics. Dude, it's really just right now just trying to survive before you can thrive. So, you know, we good for that. We're starting to see a lot of other people in the environment and in our communities that aren't so good at surviving. So yeah, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I guess collectively, no. I'd have to say no. We're not really doing anything to make the world better for our kids later. In particular, I fear for the future because of things like AI that are going to take jobs from millions. I don't know who they think they're going to sell stuff to if nobody has a job, and that's something I don't think people think about when they're making these grand decisions. All they're saying is, hey, we can eliminate all these middle management, entry-level jobs. I fear for my son's future because I don't know where he's going to have to go, what he's going to have to do in order to get a job in the future, if everything goes according to what they say. Now, there's a lot to be said that maybe AI isn't all it's cracked up to be. It ain't there yet, but in all likelihood, we'll get there. So that's the biggest threat, in my opinion, right now.
You know, the hard truth is, on the political front, even if you individually are doing some things to make a better tomorrow, you put some money in savings, you put some money in investments, you put some money aside that will last longer than you, the political front can erase what you've done. So it makes it, you know, too often we'll think about who we vote for, who we, you know, how that impacts. But, you know, based on what you know about politics, a president that ain't worth his salt, a sorry president, can put things in motion that'll take 10 years to clean up. You know? So they often say the only way you can really make the right kind of changes is if a president does at least 2 terms, because then they can kind of line some things up. But we're seeing the effects of, even if this guy never run, if he gets what he wants, he's gonna run a 3rd term. But even if he doesn't get that, look at how the judges have changed. Look at how the Senate and the House, there are people that are in there that'll continue these plans long after he's gone. So I was like, we can't just think about one end of the spectrum. We got to do about the whole end of the spectrum. And the real hard question is, if we're not planning or propagating a better future, what are we doing? Are we settling for what we got? Which too often I see that people do the go along to get along ideology, but that leaves us where we are now. You know, all of the stuff that we're doing now, somebody went along to get along, or somebody thought politics didn't matter, somebody thought it ain't that big a deal. I'll go and vote in presidential elections, but I won't vote in Senate, House, or any other local stuff. But you see what happened when they took away, when the Supreme Court changed the amendment. What did they say when they made their ruling?
It's fair game.
What they said was they're gonna leave it up to each individual state to determine what they want to do. And as long as they don't say, I'm doing this to keep these people out, then it doesn't break the Constitution. But I mean, we got some emboldened people, but ain't nobody that bold right now really that'll say, I'm doing this just to keep those people out. You know what I mean? So
No,
they basically
they just make policy
they make policies that show that's what they want, right? But they ain't saying it. And what the Supreme Court said was, as long as they don't say it, they don't blatantly exhibit that that's what they're doing, then they can do what they want to do. So they opened the door for gerrymandering. They opened the door for what they call it, the changing the line.
We got a president that's at the helm of all of that. You know, you talking about a felon that's running the country and is going unchecked with anything that he's doing. And even when they come out and say, hey, it's against the law for you to do this, nobody does anything.
I mean, he got 34 felons, so it was already against the law. He shouldn't have never been able to be the president with 34 felons. But that's where we are. Y'all to continue to combo.
I think it's sad, dude. It's sad that man, people ain't doing nothing, dude. They just letting this fool get away with everything. What are real shooters at? That's what I'm saying. But what are real people that can affect this change, dude? Because, man, it ain't happening. It is not happening.
I get to get an open flame.
So you know, James brought up about, you know, the Supreme Court, and we need to touch on that. It's illegitimate because everything they do has nothing to do with the Constitution. It has to do with politics. And what if you have politics entering into, don't get me wrong, historically there's always been politics in the Supreme Court, but nothing to the level where they sit there and they take an order and they rush it up there and they make a decision that's binding to the lower courts, but yet there's no rationale or reason for it. So we have to think about reconstructing everything, and that means if you go back and look about it, when this country, the last time that we changed the number of people in the House was 100 years ago,
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
Right now, according to where we started in this country, there should be 3,500 members of Congress. And right now, the reason they're able to get away with it is they can gerrymander their way out of it. They can't gerrymander their way out of it, but there's actually the correct number of House members, which should be around, again, 3,500. The Senate is an anomaly. It gives too much power to states with very little population. People like me, I vote, but my district, it doesn't matter, because you know where my district runs? It runs all the way from the suburbs of Dallas, all the way up into the Panhandle, just south of Amarillo. You think I have something in common with those folks?
Right.
No, I don't. But anyway,
Dude, man, this again, man. You know, if we're talking about making changes, then we're gonna have to make individual changes at home. You know, what are we doing? What are we teaching our kids? What kind of effective change are we making? Not just in our home, but in our businesses and the people that we come in contact with on a day-to-day basis, man. Because again, until everybody understands that this climate hurts everybody. It's not just one person. That's kind of like AIDS when it came out back in the 80s and 90s, man. And they thinking it was just going to be isolated to just the gay community. And history showed us that now it spreads borders, and this is no different. You know, we talk about drugs back in the 80s and 90s, how crack ravished the black community, the Hispanic community. And then, you know, they were calling us super predators. But now that it's a fentanyl epidemic, it's totally something else. These people need help. You know, we all need help. It's not just one. If one of us perish, we all perish. That's what we need to understand. We all in this together, on this rock, on this earth right now. All of us tied together.
And so that conversation leads to the extensions of the conversation. Frederick Douglass has a quote that says it's easier to build strong children than to fix broken men. And I say, if we're still teaching our children the same lessons that broke us, are we building stronger children? Look at that. He finally got out of that split. So it's like, we keep teaching the same lesson. You know, I heard another guy talk about, he said a fish is ill-equipped to describe water because living its whole life, it's born there, it lives there, dies there, its whole life is in the water. It has no contrast in which to describe water. Likewise though, when things change in the water, it has nothing to draw from to figure out how to make the changes. And so with us, you know, when we go along to get along, when we are in the midst of it, we often will figure out how to survive what's going on. We figure out how to adapt to what's going on. But we don't often figure out how to change what's going on because we like that fish in the water. We're so far into what's going on that we can't see enough of what's going on. Our imagination can't go beyond where we are, in order to change what's going on. So we keep teaching our kids the same lesson. I teach you, if you work hard, ain't that what we were all taught? If you work hard, you can make it. And we done seen, most of us done worked hard on somebody else's job. And the most we make is enough to retire with. If that. But many times we work hard, we done started your projects, we work your ideas for the project, and then when it's time for them to let AI do it, or when it's time to renew your contract, contracts don't get renewed, AI takes over the job. I worked a job where when I worked juvenile detention at one of the centers I worked at, our center had the least amount of recidivism of teens, right? And what they did, when the city took over the facility, they brought their people in to train with us. Then after they trained with us for a while, they knew enough of the thing to take over. So at the end of our contract, they no longer needed us because we had trained all of them to be able to do the job. So, you bring your ball? I thought you got one for your birthday.
I didn't get it.
You didn't get it? You got bonus? Did you get some shoes?
I get it. Y'all had it?
We're in the first part. We got it for an hour though. So look, you all bring him up to date on the conversation so far, and we'll keep the rolling going. And then this one almost over. We'll put you in the next game.
G-Money. I'm G-Money. Glenn.
What's up, Terrence?
Nice to meet you, Terrence. This Pat.
Patrick.
Patrick?
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
So essentially, we talking about what changes are we putting in place to make it better for coming generations.
That changed. I teach, so I feel like that's what I do every day.
Right.
Modeling character, modeling just everything they need to know to try to be good people. In the end, I just think first and foremost, the young people need examples. They need examples that they help them to make good choices.
Yeah.
They still got to make their own choices, but still they need good examples, people with wisdom. So I try to model in everything that I do. I just try to be that person.
And I see that you see the gaps every day, right?
Yeah, I see what I believe. Yeah, I see.
Whether it be a single mom raising kids, a single dad, whatever the case may be.
It could be two parents.
It could be two parents, right?
That's no guarantee.
And so one thing I said just a few minutes ago before you got here, I said, Frederick Douglass quote says, it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. I'm like, but are we still teaching them the lessons that got us broken in the first place? And if we are, what do we expect them to be on the other end of this? I mean, especially when you think of what we're competing with their tablets, we're competing with their FaceTimes and all of this digital stuff. They talk about, and whether we believe it or not, whether we agree with it, they talk about the average kid now has a 3-minute attention span, if that long. So being able to give them even the lessons that we got is harder now. Let alone, what are we preparing them for? You know what I mean? How we teach them? And then the other part that we said was, even if you do some individual things, if you're not doing the political side too, a politician can come in and wipe away whatever things you're doing individually based on just the stuff that they enact during their terms.
When you first sent me the question, one of the things that I was thinking about is when you say we, who are you talking? Who's the we? Like, I could say we, the Detroit Lions. I could say we, African Marxist Science. I could say we, DeSoto High School. But when you in this question, when you say we, who are you talking about?
So when I say we, first off, I'm talking about our house, and then our broader community, the we could be the Detroit Lions. But if you speak for the Detroit Lions, what are the Detroit Lions doing to make a better tomorrow? You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's left broad in order for us to be able to kind of. What I anticipated was people would tell me what they're individually doing, and then we could look back at what we're individually doing and say, will that go beyond us? If what you do does for you, does it also do for your kids? You got 4. If what you do don't include them too,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So at least your household. But then you have to look at, if I do what's good for my household, how many of y'all done seen, you can stand y'all, how many of y'all done seen The Purge?
Yeah.
You being alone in your household and your household doing what it needs to do to thrive means you are the target when
Right.
the purge goes down,
Right.
right? So doing it just for your household ain't even enough. I gotta also think about the community that I put my house in. I gotta think about the collective around that. And so, are we doing enough that's gonna go beyond? I might have acres with a farm, and I got my own food, and I got my own whatever, and I'm off the grid enough to where stuff gonna roll down a bunch of hills before it gets to me. But there are going to be things outside of what I built that's going to get to me because I'm not paying attention to that other side. So am I doing enough? Maybe. I'm doing a lot, but am I doing enough? Because like I said, I'm not only thinking about my kids, I'm thinking my kids' kids. You know, the people that's going to come back. In this instant, I am definitely going to plant a tree that I may never stand under the shade of. And I gotta react and move with that in mind. So, let me go and finish this 10th front.
Which he bring up a good point, man. You know, we can do everything that we supposed to do, and because we plan for it and somebody else has it and they know about it, they come and try to take it. So now you also have to instill the secrecy, right? So that everybody doesn't know what you're doing. Or you're gonna have to build up the whole community around you to have the same things.
I don't know. I think I'm a history teacher, and so looking at the history of human beings in every place that human beings exist, they are bad in varying degrees.
Right.
Where one society might be cool and mass murder happens a lot, and another society it hardly ever happens. You know, but a murder may happen.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, I don't know if you're gonna ever get a world where there won't be human beings who plot against you.
That utopian experience.
I just think you're just gonna end up dealing with people who may plot against you,
Yeah.
and you have to deal with that as it comes. You just can't walk into any situation. So yeah, if we're trying to teach our kids to be better, we have to teach them, just don't be naive about humans. Expect the best, hope for the best, but be prepared
For the worst.
We study martial arts because we know there might be a time when someone plots against us and we gotta defend ourselves.
Right.
That's why martial arts exists.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there will be people who, that's human. So with that being
But then you got even some martial artists that now practice for the war. You know what I mean? So they include other things. They include other modalities. But yeah, that's definitely the point of that. And there is no one answer ever that's going to answer everybody's question. You know what I mean? It would be nice. It would be nice, but there's always especially in the times we live in. Right now, catch up, baby, catch up.
that's messed up. How you doing here?
He told me not to whoop on it. So I'm like, all right, I won't. And I'm like,
left-handed?
huh?
Are you bowling left-handed?
I'm bowling with a new ball that I don't even know what it do out here.
Easier.
Cause I mean, I could have pulled that other trigger that I know what I could do with. All right, clean the house. But yeah, so I lost that train of thought. I must didn't need it. I sure lost that train of thought. But yeah, we up against a lot. And I look at the next generation, and sadly, and I know every generation before us did it too, but I look at the next generation, I'm like, ooh, they slipping beyond where we were. You know, they're slipping behind where we were. But I'm like, but the generation before us said that about us, and we came out all right. So I'm like, I don't want to be that dude. But so like at
I be doing good just to break 100.
at my
Okay.
at
I'm gonna be behind you.
oh, you did that good. You did that real good.
Yeah.
The at the church service I went to today, I don't know who I got in this image.
I know you the one topic. It should be on you.
Well, they can hear me. So I'm really looking for action. At the church today, one of the things this lady talked about was the lessons that they learned in the church that prepared them for the world outside, particularly the leadership world outside, the things they had to do. She said, but looking at this next generation, especially since COVID, people were able to log in and log out, and then you become, instead of being members of a particular church, you become members of the side of the bed church, where I can just go log in and I can look at 5 minutes of his sermon and 10 minutes of his sermon, and
I know, at least get somebody all the way in the frame.
but how much do we get when it's here? We are in between the frames. He said it right. How'd you add it up?
Yeah, we need to get a tracking. And maybe flip it.
And it'll flip.
Get more people in the frame.
It'll turn.
He make it go that way or that way.
This is the first podcast, so we're gonna deal with the technical difficulty. We be all right. So anyway, once people have options of not going, it's hard to get them in the building anymore.
It's okay, Dad.
And I'm like,
It's all right.
that's what we see in the church. We see that with our organizations too. When people ain't coming to the organization, people aren't joining some of these things. If they go to college, they may still get into a fraternity or something. How many are not even still going to college? You know, they figured out ways. They have figured out ways to make a living without that. So they miss all of it. And you know, college didn't just teach you a spiritual concept. It gave us some interpersonal skills that they are not getting.
I didn't do that.
I done had some teenagers that unless you're talking in between, you know what I mean? If they look up at all, they don't look up for nothing. You can say something?
One thing I want to point out is people want to sit there and say, what's up with the worldwide rise in authoritarian systems? And the reason for that is it's not just something that's unique to America. This has happened in many times before. There's a total playbook. And the reason for it is that there's too much money accumulated in the computer. And whenever that happens, we end up with I hate to say it, factions. And that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to come in United in 2010. That decision, they said that money was free to these teams. And when that happens, it's only a matter of time. And that's exactly all they're doing is promising the world, and they get all that money. That's fairly
Oh, I'm not pushing hard enough.
But the other part was that some people were monitoring knowing who he is and what he is. And I'm not saying I'm just saying $400 billion and you're getting close to your children, and other people can't even put food on the table. There's something wrong there, especially with these people.
Especially when you who have $4 billion, almost $1 trillion, are making the decisions about the people who can't put food on their table.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It feels like they're ramming all this stuff down our throats.
Ain't no feel. They are.
No, ain't no feel. So, I'm gonna tell a little joke. Can I curse?
Yes.
All right, I just want to know.
You thinking I heard?
So somebody told me this joke. Okay, I'm Irish. But they told a joke. They were saying, I heard this joke and it's very accurate about the Irish. The Americans, they see the people of the Irish. And they sit there and say, one day that will be me or my children. The Irish person looks at that guy and says, one day I'm going to beat that Anyways, that's the way I kind of, I'm not saying I'm respectful but I don't see any changes there is, and I don't think that's an argument.
I was listening to some old Malcolm X, and he talked about in '63. He talked about you have to have a revolution to change the entire system. It was true in '63. It's 2026, and it's still true now. The system cannot change under the guidelines of what's already here.
So, and you have to, if you really think about it, Trump voters, whatever the case may be, because I've been and I see what they have to do, and I understand why they voted. And I'm not saying I agree with it, but I don't. I'm not somebody like that. But the fact of the matter is that we can't even get together and wear masks and how are we supposed to sit there and come together and somebody that is just dividing us up along racial, ethnic, language speaking right now,
Or money.
immigration. They get those people and they play against each other and they're not trying to laugh and
And with anything, you want to know what's being done, why it's being done, all that, follow the money. Who's benefiting from the divide? Who's benefiting from getting rid of this group or getting that group? Who's benefiting from it? And that'll tell you all right there why the divide is happening, what they want to come out of it. The system that we're under, even if you voted out, there's almost no way you're going to vote out all of the corrupt folks. What do you even call them corrupt? There's no way you're going to vote out all of the people who aren't working on behalf of the people. Because there's going to be some people in the group who think that they're working for women.
So he was taking into a conversation, and I was like, are we ready to have that conversation? Because when you initially started talking about when the kids are on iPads and blah, 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 what I immediately start thinking is the material conditions. I'm like, well, who put the iPad? Who made the iPads available for purchase?
Right.
And who doesn't care about the long-term effects of this type of behavior on people as long as I make some money? You see what I'm saying? It's like, so
So now we get capitalism is going to problem.
consumer culture is eroding. It's eroding
Right.
the other cultural norms that we may hold on to.
Right.
So it's trying to destroy you from being Irish and you from being black and you from being Haitian to turn you all into consumers of these things.
Right.
Right? So now, I said I teach. You say, what are you doing to try to make things better? One of the things that I'm very intentional about when I teach is teaching about capitalism, saying the word capitalism and talking about class. And talking about constantly reminding these kids that I have in my class. Racism is something that was created to put a certain group of people in a certain class in relationship to production. This game ain't never stopped. It's always this game about who owns production and then who has to do the production and gets little out of it. And your distance from ownership is what is the poverty. So the closer you are to ownership, management, the closer the more money you get, the more distance you are away from ownership, you the worker, you know what I'm saying?
More work you can do, the less you gonna
And
get
some
out.
people are isolated from it, they can't have it, they create new ways of getting money off of stealing, drugs, selling sex, whatever, because people don't want to start, right? And some of this shit is about to get ugly, because they're going to do whatever it takes, right? And so you said it, because they don't have the cultural fabric no more to hold on.
And because they don't have the cultural fabric. Yeah.
So when I'm in the schools, I'm talking to, literally I have the classes, white kids, black kids, and brown kids. You know what I'm saying to them? Racism is meant to divide you. It is real and it is meant to divide you because they don't want you to see yourselves as a class. As look at your family's relationship to production. And then look at who makes the rules about what you get taught in school, what's considered a crime, what is all of this shit, and everything is going, like you say, follow the money. It's going to lead you back to the people who hold the most capital, because this is a dictatorship of capitalism, and the democracy really only belongs to the people of capital. The rest of us are not really participating in a democracy. We're participating on a game that they've already determined this is how it's going to be played. This is how it's going to be played. And you're not going to, so when you say you can't vote for somebody to do something different, no, you cannot. No, that's not this game.
Right.
No, you cannot, because they can't run. And they are not going to execute that vote. And they will be Cori Bush, the former congresswoman in Missouri, spoke out against something happening in Palestine.
Right.
And lobbyists in this country who identify as Israel put $13 million into her opponent to make her lose.
Right.
Right. But we see that on both sides of the fence. We see that on both sides of the fence. So
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't care what it is. They use money, capital,
right.
And that's why
persuade how people actually vote.
that's why I said you'll get some of us that will say, I creep my thing, create my thing over here, and I ain't doing nothing with none of that. It's like, but where you gonna be?
You can't do that. We're all in it.
We're all in it.
We're all in
Even
it.
if you don't play the game.
Yeah.
We're all in
You
it.
gotta play
You
the
can't isolate yourself in the middle of
Check
this.
this.
It just ain't gonna work.
You gotta play the game.
In at least 3 more games, somebody is going to be crowned NBA champion, whether you got in or not. You know what I mean?
Start us out.
Yeah. Let's get it.
It's crazy, man. It's what I like to say, the trips versus the point. No matter how you look at it, there is no it's Satan or the devil. Which way you gonna go? Because they all pretty, dude. And until we wake up to that, this Tea Party system, this or that,
it's definitely going to give us the results that we want. We're just going to have to break away from the system and do something different. We are. And once the people come together and make a decision, there is no rich that can influence and make those changes.
I'm reading this comic book where they did away with individual, like a president or whatever, and they have a council that does it. But even there, the council made a decision about a law that they were going to enact. They brought the law to the council. The council voted on it. It was like majority of the council voted against it. But the members of the council that have the most economic equity in the stakes of it overruled what the council said. So even in a council, and then they said, let alone, they had people who, so the council say you represent the Irish group. And he made a decision that mattered economically for him, that ignored what the council he was supposed to represent even more. When he went in there, and because you got a person who's supposed to represent your group in the council, you think you are duly represented. Then they get into the meeting, and they think about what their family's supposed to get. If you'd have done that on the first,
Hey, if it was a biscuit, I'd be drunk, bro.
if you'd have done that on the first,
We'd all be drunk.
we didn't get no footage of Terrence throwing, so we get some footage of him throwing.
That's cool.
What size ball you looking for? What size you got?
13.
Hey, that's little. Them black ones are 14 or 15.
You can't find it.
Hey, you can always pick up one of mine. They're not completely ready.
Oh, can I say this first?
Yeah, what's it?
I thought he said I'm an engine.
I'm laying out my first excuse. I done had a messed up wrist. I had a tendonitis in the wrist.
So what happens when you bowl this 300 game?
I'm not. I don't believe this. I don't even believe it in my mind.
The disclaimer for this is that
It's not a disclaimer. Well,
the disclaimer for this video is that the focus is the conversation between the frames. So you don't have to bowl a 300, but if you get one, we want it on tape.
Not even bowling.
Oh, I like what Terrence said when he said, you know, it's all dependent on people and the nature of people. And regardless of how you look at it, man. Even if we went and programmed a piece of software, right? It's still the people that program it.
Right.
So it's still gonna be flawed from inception.
And so I'm glad you mentioned software. I'll get him in when we